Hey folks, welcome to AI Tides. Today we've got a wild story about a young robot startup in China that's pulling in huge money and showing off some seriously futuristic tech. It's about one of the hottest races in tech right now, humanoid robots. China's startup scene has been going all in on this, and one company, X2 Robot, is quickly becoming a name to watch. They're Shenzhen-based. They only launched in December of 2023, and yet here they are, less than 2 years later, announcing massive funding, open-sourced AI models, and some pretty wild robot prototypes. Just this week, X2 revealed that they secured around $100 million in fresh funding, led by Alibaba Cloud. That's their 8th financing round already, and it pushes their total investment haul to about 2 billion yuan, or roughly $280 million US. Chief Operating Officer Wong Chian, speaking in Mandarin and translated for CNBC, confirmed the numbers and said the company's momentum isn't slowing down. What's interesting is they've managed to bring in a star-studded list of backers: HongShan, formerly Sequoia Capital China, Meituan, Legend Star, Legend Capital, and INCE Capital. But they're keeping quiet on what their actual valuation is right now. Alibaba itself has been loudly pivoting into AI. They've got this plan to drop about $53 billion over the next 3 years into AI infrastructure. And embodied intelligence, which is essentially AI built into physical machines, is one of the hot bets. Beijing has actually made humanoid robots a national priority, and investors are swarming the sector. Citigroup has even thrown out a forecast that the global humanoid robotics industry could be worth $7 trillion by 2050. With numbers like that, you can see why Alibaba and all these funds are rushing in. Now let's zoom back into X2. Unlike Unitree Robotics, another Hangzhou-based player that's been showing off bipedal humanoids running marathons or boxing in viral videos, X2's focus isn't just on flashy hardware. Their founder and CEO Wong Chian has been very open about it. He said in an interview with the paper that they've been focusing more on the algorithms that power robotics rather than just the mechanical designs. Wong himself has a pretty interesting background. Before launching X2, he ran a quantitative fund in the US. His academic track is just as impressive. Bachelor's and master's degrees in electronic engineering and biomedical engineering from Tsinghua University, followed by a PhD in robotics at the University of Southern California. And the company has been moving fast. In addition to all this funding news, they also unveiled a big technical milestone, Wall OSS. This is their open-source foundation model for embodied AI. Open source means developers and the public can access the underlying code and use it for free, and the claim from X2 is that they're the first to release something like this dedicated specifically to robotics. They say it's called Wall OSS 4.2b, and the whole idea is to enable intelligence that not only understands but can actually act effectively in real-world scenarios. Embodied AI, in their words, is about integrating intelligence with hardware, whether that's humanoid robots, wheeled platforms, robotic arms, or even self-driving vehicles. Wong Chian was pretty candid about where the tech stands. She said robots are still way behind generative AI systems like ChatGPT when it comes to capabilities. She estimated that it's going to take at least another 12 months before robotics AI catches up to something like the level of ChatGPT 3.5, and she pointed out another problem. Embodied AI doesn't yet have very clear benchmarks for progress, unlike large language models that can be tested against established datasets. Still, Yang says the need is real. After decades of building robots that could do little more than grab objects, the industry is realizing that true autonomy requires smarter AI. In her words, right now we need robots to operate and complete complex tasks autonomously. And X2 thinks their open-source approach will push the whole ecosystem forward. They're not just talking though, they're building. Alongside Wall OSS, X2 launched the Quanta X2 robot. It's a dual-arm wheeled humanoid that can attach mop heads for full 360-degree cleaning. Its hands can detect subtle changes in pressure, which is a big step toward more human-like dexterity. They've also developed something called the Artisan hand, a separate dexterous robotic hand. And on their website they show off 3 different physical products, 2-wheeled robots and a robotic arm. So they're spreading their bets across platforms, not just humanoids. On the hardware side, Yang mentioned that while they rely on NVIDIA chips for heavy-duty computing, a lot of the other functions can run on less powerful, locally sourced automotive chips. That matters for both cost control and for reducing dependence on foreign supply chains. Cost, by the way, is one of the biggest barriers here. Right now, Humanoid Guide, a research firm, lists the price of a humanoid robot at around $80,000. X2 hasn't committed to specific mass-market pricing because it depends on the use case, but their rival Unitree already sells a humanoid robot for $16,000, though it's not clear how advanced it really is. Yang was pretty upfront that to get into consumer households the price has to drop to about $10,000, and she thinks that kind of price cut, mostly from slashing hardware costs, is achievable in the next 3 to 5 years. Revenue-wise, X2 isn't waiting around for that mass-market breakthrough. They're already making money by selling to schools, hotels, and retirement homes. Yang said that business will grow next year, and they're even in talks with customers in Japan and Singapore. So, while the consumer robot butler might still be a few years away, the company is building a bridge with institutional clients in the meantime. And then there's the IPO talk. Yang confirmed that the company is preparing to start planning an initial public offering next year, though they haven't decided where they'd list. Whether it's Hong Kong, Shanghai, or even overseas, that's still up in the air. Meanwhile, Alibaba's involvement gives them a big leg up. The startup itself said in a statement that they're expecting multi-dimensional support from Alibaba Cloud. That could mean anything from compute power to cloud infrastructure to connections with other players in Alibaba's portfolio. And Alibaba's been busy. Over the last couple of years, they've also put money into Unitree Robotics, Quanta AI, Robotera, Limex Dynamics, and Galaxia. Their fintech arm, Ant Group, even set up Shanghai Mai Lingbo Technology specifically to focus on embodied intelligence. Tencent's not staying out of the game either. They've invested in UBTech Robotics and Agibot while running their own robotics lab. But with X2, Alibaba Cloud is clearly planting a flag in embodied intelligence. This is the first time they've led a deal in the field, and from X2's side, the funding is earmarked for continued training of their fully self-developed embodied intelligence foundation models, and for iterative development of hardware products. In other words, both the brain and the body of their robots. So, where does this leave us? On one side, you've got a young company, not even 2 years old, already raising billions of yuan, open-sourcing AI models, showing off robots that can clean floors and handle pressure-sensitive tasks, and lining up institutional clients across Asia. On the other side, you've got China's biggest tech giants and state-backed funds betting that embodied AI is going to be the next big global industry, one worth trillions in the long run. The hurdles are obvious. Costs have to come down drastically. The AI powering these machines has to catch up to the fluency and flexibility we've seen in generative chatbots. And clear benchmarks have to be developed so the industry knows how to measure real progress. But the momentum is here. The money is flowing and the prototypes are getting more advanced every year. And that's the story of X2 Robot right now. A fast-moving startup with big-name backers, bold claims about open-source embodied AI, robots that are just starting to feel genuinely useful, and a whole lot of pressure to deliver before competitors like Unitree or UBTech capture the global spotlight. We'll see if robotic butlers really do show up in 5 years, but for now, this is one of the most fascinating corners of the AI revolution to keep an eye on. That's it for now. Catch you in the next one.